moment is here, and the time is now as we get set for one of the biggest races on Canadian soil. It's the Pepsi North America Cup. $1 million on the line.
And a perfect start. And away they go.
It's the cream of the crop, it's the best of the best, and it's the kickoff to some fantastic stakes that are going to be coming your way tonight from Woodbine Mohawk Park. My name is Elisa Blow, and I will be joined by Hall of Famer Randy Waples as we discuss this superstar card that we have coming your way this evening. Randy, we get to see tonight not only the best horses, but we get to see the best drivers. We get to see the best trainers, the best caregivers of our animals as well. And if you're in the grandstand and you're looking around, you might see some pretty famous faces from horse racing's past, present, and future. Racing royalty will be on tap here tonight to watch this 13 race program.
This is it. This is it. You know, I mean, this is what we torture ourselves through the winter, you know, picking 8,000 condition claimers, you know, waiting for the time that we get to come July or June and, you know, witness the best of the best. Just like Elisa said, this is the pinnacle of the best. There's no better racing in North America in harness racing than what we're going to witness right here tonight. And we are so lucky to not only that, but the fact that this North American Cup is really turning into something that we really haven't seen in prior North American Cups.
I would say that this North America Cup has the most hype that we've seen in quite some time. Wouldn't you?
I agree.
And I think the hype only got bigger after what happened last week in the Elim that Bojangles finished third in. And you and I said to each other after the race was over, nothing is better than a comeback.
Yeah.
Now, tonight, maybe we get the resurgence of Bojangles, and I think there's going to be at least 10,000 fans here tonight to watch and cheer him on.
I completely agree, and the world loves a comeback, and it's not really a comeback. He's been beaten once, and that's why, again, you know, you and me were talking about it last week right after the race, and we both just said, like, nobody should give up on him after one loss. I mean, come on. And I think, like I said, I think that there was maybe reasons why the loss came about. So tonight, there's going to be a lot of people here, and maybe we will get to see Bojangles back into the winner's circle. But regardless of whether it's Bojangles, that field is crazy good.
Power-packed,
we're going to get a good one. There's no doubt about that.
That's right. I love these big nights because everybody is racing for the big money tonight, and you get to see so many of the best drivers, as we mentioned, that are just going to be right here in our own backyard. I want to bring in John Rallis, who will be the third member of our team here tonight. As usual, this is actually the third time that you and
we
me
started
and
together.
John, that's right, the third time that we've all been together for North America Cup. Feels a little bit better after we've got a couple of them underneath our belts, but as usual, there will be some pregame jitters for some people who are competing in the races tonight. And of course, John is going to be catching up with the connections and talking to them. John, you always get such good insight from our trainers, and we're looking forward to that as well. But you're going to be big on the handicapping this evening, too. Tell us about the wagering menu that we have for tonight.
Yeah, you guys touched on the talent level that we're going to get a chance to see here. We've got a stellar group of horses that are going to be going postward in this 13-race program on Saturday night, but we've also got a stellar wagering menu that we're going to get a chance to participate in as well. And we've got 2 pick fives guaranteed at $100,000, one of which being an all-stakes pick 5. Those are always very, very appealing, of course. We've also got a pick 6 mandatory payout. So this pick 6 mandatory payout, no carryover opportunities tonight. We got a nice, really nice pool last year on NA Cup night. I'm expecting a really good pool here this evening as well. We should note, though, that the pick 6 sequence is going to kick off in race number 6. So we did some jostling with when the wagers were going to start. Pick 6, as opposed to race number 4, it's going to kick off in race number 6. So again, a mandatory payout in that sequence. I touched on the all-stakes pick 5, which kicks off in race number 7. Something that we're going to be integrating here this evening is going to be that $5 minimum Mohawk Stakes pick 3, 15% takeout. And I should add that if you go on HBI Bet or any other ADW that you're going to be playing along with, it is going to be a separate menu. You're not going to play right under Woodbine Mohawk Park's card itself. There's going to be a separate betting menu there for that Mohawk All Stakes Pick 3, which is going to be highlighted by the Roses Are Red, the Fan Hanover, and of course the Pepsi North America Cup. So really, really looking forward to that sequence. But we've also got more things here on site that we can participate in, though, Elisa. I mean, there's a handicapping contest that's going to be taking place here as well. So really, really looking forward to that handicapping contest. You actually have to register. You go put in, it's for $100. You get a pre-registered HPI betting card as well. So participate in that. It's going to be a top 3 finish. First place is going to be $500, second place $300, and third place is going to get $200. So participants, you can keep all the winnings, and at the end of the racing card, the top 3 participants are going to get the prizes that I mentioned above. So this contest is brought to you by Ontario Racing. You have an opportunity to go sign up here, but you have to be here on track in order to participate. And what I think is such a great idea. We already saw one edition of this take place. I think this is going to obviously be a no-brainer to participate in, and something that's going to be very, very popular. So lots on track and lots as well on the wagering menu. It's going to be a great night, guys.
Yeah, and you don't have to be a professional handicapper to compete in that. You just want to test your skills. Anybody can go. Even Randy can compete.
This is it. This is it.
All righty. Okay, we have some more things we want to discuss just quickly before we get into our stakes program for the night tonight. And I just wanted to touch on, because we have to talk about the elephant in the room just quickly. Last night, on track bad accident with Sarah Swanstead and Dr. Ian Moore. I know a lot of people were asking about them and how they're doing on social media today. There has been, a lot of talk about it. So let's put it to rest and let people know just how both of them are doing, Randy.
Well, I mean, obviously it could have been a lot worse. I think Sarah took the worst of it. The worst that I can see with Doc Moore is that he's got some serious road rash, big time road rash. But I texted him earlier tonight. He said he'd see me here tonight. Whether or not he's going to warm up his horses tonight, that I don't know. But he will be here. As far as Sarah, she really took it bad. As far as I know, she has a dislocated thumb, a dislocated collarbone, a broken collarbone, a dislocated shoulder, and a concussion. So she really took the brunt of it. But my understanding is that she's also out of the hospital. Whether or not she's going to be here tonight, that I couldn't tell you. But they're both walking. The horses are fine. So it's just it, and I know it. This is just part of racing horses.
Right, but you and I both know that all of us that get hurt, we all cowboy up and come right back.
For sure.
And if we don't come back the next hour, we are definitely there the next day. So
one of the best bumper stickers I ever seen was, are you just going to lay there and bleed, or are you going to cowboy up?
That's right. That's what they say. Fall off the horse. You got to get right back on again.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
And the horses are fine. The
horses
horses are fine.
And that's important too. A lot of people were asking, so I'm really glad that we talked about this. Okay, let's get started with our stakes events for the night tonight. It is so amazing, the card that we have in store for you with all of these great races. And of course, one of the traditions here is always to have the good times on North America Cup night, and the Bax family is always here to present. And how fitting it would be if they would present to their own team. Matt Bax does send out the 9-horse classified, but you get this really solid group of 10. And the storyline will be with the Swanstead horse and the Melander horse, because both of these horses come in off of wins in the eliminations.
Yeah, both of them really did some outstanding racing last week there. Myself, I'm going to actually lean a little bit towards the 3-horse Magic Punk. Like both of them a lot. But Magic Punk, I thought, was just a little bit better. And they're standing pat on Magic Punk. Okus Vonstead, he's standing pat on him. No equipment changes that we know of, but never punt. This bar hopping son that's trained by Marcus Melander, he raced incredibly well, winning his elimination as well. But now they're going to send in lots of changes on this guy. They're going to go from an open bridle to a Swedish bridle, and they're also going to go steel to barefoot all around. Now, steel to barefoot is a dramatic change. That can really change things up. So that is a change that you really want to take a a close look at. They don't always pull their shoes, but when they do, there's usually a pretty good chance they're going to race very well. And that was Magic Punk, just winning that one. Really, really looked good out there.
Yeah, and did it in 52-1, which was a life's best for Magic Punk. But we want to take a look back at the second elim winner, and that's the one that Randy's referring to, the horse that's making all kinds of changes here tonight from the Melander outfit, this being Naver Punt, not to be confused with Magic Punk. And Dexter Dunn to do the driving with this one. And as you mentioned, open to Swedish and going from steel to barefoot. Randy, I'm from one of those groups that says, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But there obviously had to be something that Yannick Gingras or Marcus Melander noticed with this horse in that last elimination to make these changes.
Well, it could simply be that, maybe the surface of the track, maybe they kind of had him hung up a different way, thinking stone dust, or this track can be a little bit slippery with our track rock because we don't crush our trap rock, so it can be a little bit slippery. But the big thing is that Yannick had a big decision to make.
Right.
And I agree with you. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I'm only looking at Naver Punt with the changes that they're putting on him. They're trying to make him faster.
Right.
That's basically what it boils down to. Magic Punk, they're standing pat. So I'm thinking maybe a small advantage to Magic Punk. Which way did you go?
I didn't have to make selections tonight. You know what? I forfeited my opportunity because I think it's only fair that John Rallis makes decisions tonight. Cool. He is the harness expert. I'm showing up here tonight to help drive the train, as some would say.
You
That's
gotta
right.
sail the Enterprise.
That's right. And I love just watching, right? But I did send in a pick in each of the stakes and a long shot pick. But I wanted to ask John, because I see him back on camera now. John, you left off the 5 horse, and instead you've used the 4, Touched by an Angel, which is the Fellows horse, and you also used the 6, Dream of Peace, in your ticket. These are horses we're going to get, especially Dream of Peace, that we'll get at a price.
Yeah, I thought Touched by an Angel, his elimination performance was super, and I think this is a colt who showed us a glimpse of his talent last year, but they gelded him going into his 3-year-old campaign, and I think the returns after being gelded have been really, really good. That was a tough elimination defeat last time out. He deserved a lot better, but Naver Punt was so good, just continuing to come to get the job done. But you want to speak about colts who have been pretty talented here racing at this Ontario Sire's Sake program. Dream for Peace, I mean, he's sitting on a gold victory. I think he was really good in his elimination. I think he's been really, really sharp all season long. So that's definitely a horse that I would be using underneath in some exotics. I'm with Randy. I really do think Magic Punk, if he replicates a performance like he did last week, I think he's going to be awfully tough to beat. But you mentioned Naver Punt. Anytime that these guys pull the shoes, I think it's something to take note of. And Dexter Dunn and Marcus Melander, they had a big night themselves last night at the Meadowlands. Melander with 4 training wins last night. Dexter Dunn was aboard 3 of them. So they're looking to continue the momentum here this evening.
All right, thanks for those thoughts, John. As we move over to race number 7, the 7th race, of course, is the Armbro Flight. We'll see trotters once again, fillies and mares competing in here for a big whopping purse. I mean, I didn't do the math and add up all the purse money that we're giving away tonight, Randy, but it's big cash on the line.
Huge.
This race going for $215,000 and a pretty significant scratch of the 6-horse Yo Tilly, who is a vet scratch, and we'll get more on that from John Rallis when we go check back in with him. But first, we have to take a look at, a horse like, say, Warwi Michelle. Who's loaded in this race, obviously, is the Svanstead barn. They've got Warwi Michelle, they have Dial Square, and they also have Nelson Bright Eagle. So they have 3 out of the 11 horses competing in this spot. I think either way you look at it, you're kind of drawn towards a Swanstead horse.
Yeah, Where Are We Michelle especially is going to look really, really tough in here. The only thing is, though, is that, she races November the 15th last year, then she qualifies May the 8th, one qualifier, and then we don't see no more of her. So I'm not saying, we've talked about Oka Svanstead before, the fact that he can, a few years ago, he came in here with All Raj and hadn't raced in a year.
Remember that?
Yeah, and he not only wins the Maple Leaf Trot, but sets a track record doing it. So since then, I don't really bring in the, the stale date, but it's always in the back of my mind. And then when it comes down to which way I'm going to tip, the better date usually works for me. So I'm not going to go, I'm going to go in second here with Where Are We, Michelle. I'm going to go Stormont Beautiful. I'm going to go the Ontario
Yeah.
girl here,
Yep.
who's been racing really, really well, was second in the Breeders' Crown last year, just came back, only the 3 starts and the 2 qualifiers. And to me, that's enough. She's got enough fitness under her belt that, now it's time to, let's see what's going to happen.
We are going to take you back to Wormy Michelle's big victory in the Breeders' Crown. So this is back last October, and it was right here on our surface at Womo, where she was a winner for big money and did it in 50 and 2. She has a life's mark of 150 flat. She is a 10-time winner. First start of the season, as Randy had mentioned, she did have the 1 qualifier. She's a vet scratch from a race on the 23rd, but like Randy said too, never discount this outfit.
Absolutely not. This is a really good race. And she kind of, it was a clean trip. There's no doubt about that. But there was a little bit of traffic out there. She got kind of stalled, and she was the one that was coming hard on the end of it. Really, really great race. I got her in for second. She's going to be real tough to beat in here, especially with her gate speed as well. Yo Tilly being scratched. That's a huge, huge scratch. The only other one that, to me, that I think that people got to take a serious look at too. Mona Lisa looks good in here too, but don't forget that there's a second page of this program.
That's right.
Yeah, because this 10 and the 11 on the other side, not so much the 10 horse, although it is a Nancy Tactor and Scotty Zeron going to be here to drive, but Miracle Maven coming from the 11 hole for Ronnie Burke and Yannick Gingras. This one is a real serious filly. You can see last year 8 for 14, and this year already started out with a win. 2 starts and already a win. So even though she does have that trailing position, I don't mind it too bad because she's trailing the one that I think can win this race. So I'm going to bring her into it as well. So I am going to be using the 11 horse as my 4th pick.
All right, let's bring John Rallis in. Now, John, I want you to quickly touch on what you know about Yo Tilly, just for people who might wonder why she's not here. And also, you had a chance to catch up with Sarah Swanstead. Good thing you did yesterday, and you were able to get some information from her. So talk to us about first Yo Tilly, and then let us know about what Sarah had to say.
Yeah, Yo Tilly, apparently she just, she just tied up. I got a chance to speak with trainer Andrew Harris. It's unfortunate that she's not having the opportunity to race today. We respect her so much, and it would have added, obviously, depth to the race, but it's going to give an added opportunity for several others in here to not only maybe leave out of there and assume better position, but Yo Tilly, I'm sure we'll see her bounce back. I'm sure we'll see her racing soon, and looking forward to what she's going to provide here in this age-to-trotting merit division. But you touched on the Oka Svanstedt barn, and what Randy said is absolutely correct. Stale dates are just something that we're kind of accustomed to from a handicapping principle, and stale dates is what you're going to get from a mare like Warwi Michelle, but I think you throw that out the window anytime you're looking at a horse from an Oka Svanstedt camp that has a poor date, because they train these horses really hard, and she was scratched out of her most recent outing in the Miss Versatility. She's going to be in to go here in this Armbro Flight Final, making her first start of 2026. We'll hear from Sarah Swanstead momentarily, but she's got other 2 horses that merit respect, the Nelson Bright Eagle as well as Dial Square. Remember, guys, Dial Square capturing this event a year ago. So the reigning champion of this race is in this race to go, but unfortunately she's not bringing that same level of form. But curious to, let's hear some of Sarah Swanstead's thoughts on the 3 starters in this stakes event. I want to ask you about a trio of mares that you're going to be sending posted here in the Armbro Flight to Final. Let's start off with Dial Square, a mare who late last year, you added Lasix to this mare. Maybe she didn't finish off the season the way she started it, but this is a mare we know that has a lot of talent. Assess her performance in the Miss Versatility leg on May 23rd, and any changes with her coming into this weekend start.
She has been a little bit of, I shouldn't say disappointment, but I mean, she started up great last year, and if we kind of got her a little bit too far fast because she came a little bit late from Sweden too, I'm not sure, but she had grow more into herself, and she was with heavy shoes in her last race too, so we're going to go lighter shoes on her, but of course we need to see some more finishing from her, so I'm not really sure where she is right now.
Nelson Bright Eagle, another mare, winless in 10 starts of her campaign last year, but hit the board in half of them. She too is coming off a 4th place effort in that Miss Versatility leg. What can we expect from her on a Saturday night this weekend?
Well, it's kind of same with her. She was the same 2 years ago when she started back there. She needed a couple of races until she started going, but she hasn't really got that kick in her legs yet either. If it's ready to happen on Saturday, I'm not sure, but she also needs to show a little bit more good finishing before I can have too high hopes on her.
Speaking of high hopes, I mean, Wari Michelle, she's provided nothing but high hopes and good results. Obviously, winning a Breeders' Crown final the last time that we got a chance to watch her compete on Canadian soil. She was supposed to make a start on May 23rd in the Miss Versatility. She was the vet scratch in that contest. How is her fitness level coming into this final this weekend? And can you maybe inform us or fill us in why she missed that start in late May?
Yeah, so she was scratched because she catch a fever for 2 days. Nothing major, but obviously we didn't want to take any chances with her. So she trained back here now good and have had a little bit faster mile. But if she's going to be ready to win, that's going to be hard to stay because one qualifier is maybe not enough right now. But it was no other chances either to do more right now. So this race will be a race for her and take her forward for the rest of the season. Is obviously just in the beginning of the year, but I mean every time she races she go all in, so maybe she's just kicking ass anyway with not being top sharp yet, but I am always excited to see her race, so I look forward to see her.
We look forward to watching her compete. We look forward to watching your starters compete this weekend in Canada as well. And Sarah, best of luck this weekend.
Thank you so much.
Always great to get thoughts and honest thoughts as we talk about all the time from the trainers. It's great when they can give us something as handicappers that we can work with, so we always appreciate that. Let's flip over to race number 8. The 8th race on the program is the Roses Are Red, and this race will also kick off a new wager. Now, we started this at Woodbine a few weeks ago, and we'll do it on major days in Toronto. We'll do it on major days here in Milton as well. It's the All Stakes Pick 3, and it has a minimum wager of $5. Now, it isn't consistent races. That's something people need to take note of. It's not like it's race 8, 9, 10 like we're used to. So for this wager tonight, it is races 8, 10, and 11. So that's always very important. So you'll take the 9th race off and then you'll go back for 10 and 11. But this one, of course, another jam-packed field for the 8th race. They go for $320,000, and you get Louis' Girl. She comes in off of a win in the Roses Red Limb, and Mickey and Minnie, who was fantastic last week for Chris Ryder, and our congratulations too goes out to Chris Ryder. I know he hit a big milestone in wins, so that's always something that everybody wants to celebrate. But the first horse we want to touch on here, Randy, is Louis' Girl. Now, this is a Per Anglum horse, 7 for 9 this season. She hasn't missed a check yet. Last year, she was a 7-time winner as well from 13 starts. She's a serious racing mare.
She is that. When she raced here last week, I think I played against her. I think maybe I went Always Dawn, or I know I played against her. And the biggest reason was because I'd never really seen her do any winning on a big track. It was always small tracks, halves and 5/8, but she was never seemed to be bringing that to the big track. But she brought it last week, so we can take a look at this replay. I thought it was an incredibly good effort. I would say maybe just a little bit maybe weaker of the two divisions, I mean, that way, but still a nice effort here for Louis' Girl and Jason Bartlett. Jason Bartlett coming right back to town to try to take a little bit more Canadian money back down to New York, where he hangs his hat. Does a lot of his racing at Yonkers Raceway, but good move here. And Always Dawn, Kevin Ben horse here on the outside. She put up a good effort as well, but Louis' Girl finding the wire probably just about right in time.
And when you see these replays, it reminded me again, when you see these replays, some replays from last week, you're going to see drivers totally clean.
Yeah.
And some replays from last week, they're going to be really muddy, because remember, the heavens opened up. We had like 20 minutes of hard rain, and then they kept racing sub 150 miles. It was a fantastic
And it rained.
night. Whew, did it ever. All right, Mickey and Minnie. I'm sure a lot of kids that are here on the track tonight will be cheering for her. And if this one happens to win, maybe there is a trip to Disneyland in store for the Ryder family. I know that they have a grandson named Harry that they love very much, so maybe he'll be headed towards Disneyland if she happens to get the win here tonight.
She's going to be the one I'm going with. I mean, that's a tough call because, you know, out in the outside, Twinbee Joe Fresh is staring me in the face, but I'm not even going to use Twinbee Joe Fresh. This is the one that I'm going to put up on top. I mean, he clears with her, and then the rest of the way, he's just on cruise. She barely put out really any kind of energy whatsoever. So, in my opinion, she should come back just as strong this week. She got a good post to work with, and you know, retains James. So Mickey and Minnie is the way I'm going to go.
And the other rider horse, of course, as you mentioned, is Twinbee Joe Fresh, Dexter Dunn, who co-owns this horse. He'll be doing the driving. But as far as our local contenders are concerned, I thought Absolution raced fantastic in the Elim to finish in the 3rd spot.
I did too. I mean, big 3-wide move around that last turn. I threw her in for part of it. I know she's got the 10 hole. I could have went a lot of different ways. There's a lot of mares in here that I'm not using that are real good ones, but there's just something about Absolution that I think that she's sitting on a big effort, you know, and maybe 4th is a little bit low. If they race this too heavy, Absolution could be the one that picks it all up.
Will we see Jack Moiseyev on track tonight?
Yes, we will.
Oh, fantastic.
Well,
yeah,
he
we
was
normally
here
see him on
last
this
week.
night. Yeah,
Yeah, and then I seen him, I seen him and Peter and Melanie Wren, the owners, trainers
right.
of Odds on Mamba. Seen them at the keg. And I asked Jack, I said, are you going to be here Saturday night? He said, I'll be there, boy.
Oh,
So he's gonna be
fantastic.
here.
That's great. Okay, let's head outside again to John. And John always likes to pick horses at prices, too. John, you've included the 5, Rodeo Drive Deo. This is a Burke trainee. And you also included the Last Martini, the 6 horse here in this race, winless from 4 starts so far this year.
Yeah, I've been, you know, I thought Rodeo Drive Dale raced well in her elimination. I know the trip didn't work out too back. We heard Ron Burke's comments about that trip at Chester, you know, 2 starts ago. But I thought the Last Martini raced really well. That was a big-time bounce-back performance from what we saw in Kentucky the start prior. She's had, you know, 1 tough trip so far this year. Her other 2 performances, I thought maybe weren't up to her capabilities, but she bounced back in a big way, and that's kind of similar to what we saw last year here in the Breeders' Crown. She put forth a couple of efforts in the U.S. that just weren't up to her liking, up to her ability. She came back here on Canadian soil. She bounced back in a big way. Of course, dead heating with Mickey and Minnie in that Breeders' Crown final for 3-year-old filly Pacers. But, you know, Randy touched on Twinbee Joe Fresh, and the only one that's got her on top and even on the ticket is going to be Garnet Barnsdale. Now, this is, you know, an assessment of, do you go with class and do you go with ability, or do you go with what you've seen as of late? Because what we saw last week was probably not, to me, the most eye-catching performance. But I'd expect Chris Ryder to have her ready, but I'm in the same camp as Randy. I just feel like she's a mare that I have to play against in this particular spot. But one thing to take note, this is the best price you're going to get on Twinbee Joe Fresh in a long time, if not ever. So if you want to back class and ability, you're going to get a price here tonight. But are you willing to take her tonight based on what you saw last week? That's the big question mark.
Yeah, like, you know, there's always a lot of chalk on
Good
these
point,
big
though.
nights. But like he said, there's always going to be 1 or 2 that squeak in at prices.
There is, but I mean, this is a big leave-off, this one, you know. I mean, this is a major leave-off. So I'm going to go with what Rollis is saying. I just I didn't see the sharpness last week, and I don't know if he can get her that good in 7 days. So with an outside post, I'm going to play against her. But that is a tough move to play against Twinbee Joe
Right?
Fresh.
Yeah. That's how good this card is. All right, let's go to the 9th race. 9th race on the program is the Mohawk Gold Cup. This is an invitational. It's grade 3, and they go for a purse of $100,000. I think the star of this race is obviously Irvin Hanover. Dave Maneri conditions this one. We got to see him race last week in the Open, and he was fantastic on his return to the races. And Randy, tonight they put the Nikes on.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm going to go to these aluminum shoes in front for Mr. Irvin. It's hard to believe that he was that good last week wearing a pair of steels.
Right?
You know?
Yep.
Pair of work boots on last week there. Set of Kodiaks there, and he goes out and he wins in 49-1. So now Maneri's going to throw the running shoes on him tonight, and we're going to see what's going to happen. He's going to be my top pick. I mean, this is a really deep race. You know, big shout out to everybody in the race office, especially Jimmy Jimmy Gillespie for assembling. This is a really, really nice field of horses in here. So Prince Hal Hanover is going to be tough. I think Calico Jack could be tough, but Irvin Hanover, I agree with you. I just think that, we're looking again at the return of the Breeders' Crown champion from last year, and he's every bit as strong as he was last year. So I just don't see anybody really stepping up and upsetting the apple cart.
Yeah, and
as opposed to Irvin just yet.
You're right, and the other thing too is you could look through this group of horses, and a lot of them are horses we see regularly here, like say a horse like Brew Hanover, who we watch, all season long, kind of dominate the dojo in those open races, and then we see the return of a horse like say Vucephalus, who was in the North America Cup 3 years ago now, I would say, so comes back to the site of that race once again. So race number 9 on the program will also kick off the late pick 5 for you on tonight's card, because there are 13 races, so 9 through 13, this race kicking off the late pick 5 for you. Let's flip over to race number 10. 10th race is the Fan Hanover, $420,000 up for grabs in this race, and wow, I saw a pretty much, well, she's perfect. She has the right name. And, I was saying to you last week, if you name a horse B Perfect, there's nothing worse than having it turn into a 5-claimer that can't win a race.
Yeah.
But B Perfect, BG is perfect. A perfect 5 for 5 last year as a 2-year-old, a perfect 4 for 4 this season, and man, did she ever race great last week. She's got to worry about Perfect Thought, another horse, and the other one would be Luadipa from the Ron Burke barn. So, even though we have a perfect mare in this spot, there are others who are going to try and take her down.
Yeah, absolutely. Be Perfect, I'm going to throw in for second. I'm going to play against her. Perfect Thought, you mentioned her. I'm going to throw her in for third. Luadipa, I'm going to go this route simply because, I love Be Perfect. How can you not? She's never been beaten. But Luadipa, for whatever reason, last week to me looked like a colt out there. She really did. She has put on so much weight and size and power, and to me, it really stood out last week. I love the way Be Perfect raced, but Luadipa, there was just something about her that she was almost to me like overpowering. So here she is, Elisa. Look at the size of her now, and look at the body language on Pete. This is a nice, deep group of horses in behind her. We got a Clean Deal. We got Daya down in here. But look at the way that she's performing, and look at the size of her. It's just, to me, she didn't have this, the depth last year. She was just kind of tall and skinny and gangly, that kind. This year, it seems to me like she's really put on some serious muscle.
Yeah.
And, I think that she's going to need it. So Luadipa is the way I'm going to go.
Well, that development from 2 to 3 is amazing.
Yep.
And then from 3 to 5 is a whole other ball game too, right? But there are some stunning animals in this spot. The other one we wanted to show you, actually we have a few replays we want to show you from this race, is Be Perfect BG. The other thing I just wanted to mention, because this race she took basically gate to wire, is that tonight we talk about the great drivers, we talk about the great trainers, we talk about the great horses. One thing we don't talk about is the breeders, and there are some people tonight that have bred these horses. They had those mares carry those foals, looked after those mares, and they are rooting them on tonight as well.
Oh, absolutely. There's nothing that would be a bigger feather in the cap of a breeder than having a horse show up on a night like this, with a big effort.
Right. And imagine if you're, say, the breeders of Be Perfect BG, and you have that mare at home. Right? So, this horse goes on, wins a big race like this here tonight. What's your mare worth, and who are you going to breed her to next?
And how do you name her? I'll never get beat. How do you keep on with this?
Be Perfect again.
Yeah. If you name her, I'll always lose. Does that mean that she'll never win a race? This could be a whole different ball game. But this is a really nice field of horses in here. There's so many of them that I'm not using that I would love to be able to use.
Well, let's show Perfect Thought while we're talking about that, because this horse is at 15 to 1. Now, this would be a great story for the stable, because the stable is an amazing group of people that can join in, and they can own a tiny share of a horse or a large share of a horse. So you don't know on some of these horses if they have 100 owners or if they have 10, but what a story it would be for them.
It would be. Even in this race here, though, so she wins her elimination, and when she comes back, I'm pretty sure it's packed. You know what I mean? Like, God only knows how many people actually own a piece of Perfect Thought. She was doing all of her campaigning mostly in the Megan Scran barn, racing really, really good for her and Scotty Z. And then they shipped her up here. Harry Polton took over. And ended up having a nice win. Doesn't shock me in the least. Harry Polton, one of those guys that, would not be surprised if all of a sudden there was a knock at his door and say, hey, Harry, by the way, you're going into the Canadian Horse Racing Hall of Fame.
Well,
because that's what kind of a career that he's had.
Yeah, and there are some price horses to be had in
Ooh, a
this
sweep.
race. Yeah, sweep for the top spot. But, our buddy John, he likes to sniff out those price horses. Tell us, John, about your thoughts on Lavender Sealster here for Doc Moore.
Yeah, I've been really, really impressed with this filly. I mean, we touched on P&G Shadow. We got a chance to watch her compete. She kicked off the Friday night program with a victory in the opener, and Doc said that he felt like P&G Shadow was the filly that was coming along the best as she was wintering for her ahead of her 3-year-old campaign. And I tell you what, I really like what I've seen from Lavender Sealster to this point. I think she's raced really, really well. I thought she raced super in her elimination. And Louis had a choice between Sangria Summer as well as Lavender Sealster. He opted to go to the Doc Moore trainee, and she draws well enough. And she's going to be put in play. I don't know if she's going to have enough to get the job done, but this is another price player that I would be using underneath in some exactors and tries.
Good stuff. Okay, time to talk about the big dance now, the race everybody is going to be holding their breath waiting for, that being the Pepsi North America Cup. It'll go as race number 11 on tonight's program. It is for straight 3-year-olds, and they'll go for $1 million tonight. You get a field of 10, and this year, for whatever reason, and I think we know what the reason is, but for whatever reason, it has a different feel than other years. I don't know, for me, I would say I've done probably 20 North America Cups in my time at Woodbine. You've probably, seen almost all of them?
All of them.
All of
Seen
them,
'em
buddy.
all.
Seen them all.
Right.
You've seen them on the front end,
Yep.
and you've seen some of their
Yep,
rear ends
yep,
too, right,
that's
buddy?
right. Sometimes I was in amongst them, but even right from the very first one, I remember when Legal Notice won for Dr. John Hayes at Greenwood Raceway. I would be around 84, 85 maybe, somewhere in there. 85, I think. And I remember that one, and I've been, this is our race, right? I mean, how many Kings or Queens plates have you seen?
A lot of them. And I remember, too, when we used to do this race at Woodbine, and I just love it so much more here at Mohawk because this is the right environment for it.
Yeah, it is.
And it's got that country feel, and you can reach out and touch the horses. And you feel the ground shake when they go by as
100%.
well.
This is it for us.
This is it.
This is it.
Yeah.
This is what we go through our winter for. This is what, 2 weeks from now, we'll be talking about this race in 2027.
Right. And
This is what it is.
I saw somebody today on social media from the United States that said this is the standardbred version of the Kentucky Derby.
Yes. 100%.
That's a good way.
I agree.
That's
I
a good
agree.
way to put it.
It is. And it's a very, very difficult race to win. That's the thing, too. You know what I mean? A lot of it's a tough race to win. Trust me on that. Very, very hard race to
As
win.
the guy who's won it.
Yeah,
a couple
once.
of times. Once.
You know what I
Okay.
mean? It's
But
not
it
an
puts
easy
you on the
race
map,
to win.
buddy.
That's
Puts you
right.
on the map.
100%.
Just-
So here we go. We got some data.
And data, Randy, going back to 1994, as you said, when it was being
No, it was 85 was
80
the first one.
80 something. Okay, so
Yeah.
so for whatever reason they
To the 7/8. That's why.
That's
First time
why.
on the 7/8.
That's
There we
why.
go.
Good stuff.
So
So
we
all you
still
have to-
haven't had a winner out of the 10 hole yet.
Well, guess who's in the 10 hole tonight? Brandon Boulevard, who has a legit shot.
Yes.
Looks like the 5 is where you want to be, and guess who's in the 5 hole tonight? Bojangles.
Yep.
But this is all pure data, folks. So just keep your eye on that. But we have to go through each horse. We can't just touch on some.
No.
We need to go through each and every horse competing in this year's edition of the North America Cup. And we'll start first with the 1. Now, this is a Ron Burke trainee, and you can never discount any Burke horses. He's got a couple of horses in this race tonight because he's going to send out Lindy Dragonwater, but he's got the 1 horse in the stakes event coming in off of a 4th place effort, and that was in the elimination that featured odds on Mamba. So we'll talk first about the 1, Ronnie Wren Jr. doing the driving. This is a horse that it looks like Burke is a co-owner on as well. Very good career record. He is 4 for 5 this season as far as hitting the board is concerned. Any interesting thoughts or quirks on this one that you've heard about, Randy?
Not really heard about. I mean, obviously, like you said, this is coming out of the Burke juggernaut. You know, I mean, the guy's got like 200 horses in training, and 3 of them are going to be in this race here tonight. Melillo, you know, I thought it was a good race that he put up last week. You know, unfortunately, he does draw the rail. And I mean, there's obviously a lot worse places that you could draw, but it's not as easy to push from the rail. You got to push a lot harder. So I think myself, I'm looking more at Melillo being kind of one of those horses that you might want to use down underneath, you know.
Superfectas.
Right. You know, in the bottom of your super or you know, maybe even in the bottom of your try. I think he could get that, but I don't really look at him as a win candidate, but did have a real good race here last week.
And the breeders are the owners of this Son of Sweet Lou as well. So they've seen this one right from the time that the mare was in foal right through till today. So that always gives you a little extra, how do you say that? Tingles.
Yes,
Little extra tingles.
absolutely.
All right, Red Rocket Man is the 2. Here's the first for our local drivers tonight. Louis Waugh, of course, will drive this one for John Pentland, who's a regular here at Mohawk. And what a thrill this is for them tonight to send out this son of Bulldog Hanover.
This guy could get the job done. 25-1 morning line, and I mean, deservedly so. I mean, he hasn't really done the accomplishments that some of these other horses have done. The big thing that I can tell you about Redland Rocket Man is if he can find him an easy trip, wow, does this guy have speed. Like, I'm not, like, all horses have speed. This guy has eye-catching speed. He reminds me of another horse that we're going to be talking about real soon, because the speed, like I said, it catches your eye when he does his big move. So I didn't use Redland Rocket Man in here, but if he can find him the right trip, I think he's going to fire on the end of it. How good that gets him, I don't know, because he only has a mark of 52. So he's going to have to bring that time down a little bit, but boy, oh boy, can he ever make movement on the end of it.
Let's go to the 3. Odds on Mr. Mamba, of course, a winner of the eliminations last week. We had 2 eliminations. He was the other winner. And this one on that night was driven for the first time by James McDonald. This race has eluded him. He has a great resume. He's won basically everything you can win, but this one is still off of the ticket. Tonight could be a great opportunity for this Melanie Wren trainee.
Like I said, not an easy race to win. You know, it's a tough race to win. Okay, Lisa, I was just talking to you about Redland Rocket Man. I said the big thing with him, his big weapon is speed. This one's even quicker. This guy, his speed is eye-catching. You know what I mean? Lots of horses are fast, but his is eye-catching. He can really, really move. Now, the only thing that bothers me a little bit is this running out on the end of it. It didn't cost him last week, but I think that if he keeps doing it, at some point it will cost him, doing that. So I'm going to throw him in for 3rd, but my goodness, all the bells and whistles, all the publicity that they were talking about this guy in Indiana and that this guy can beat Bojangles, it was all true. He can beat Bojangles because he beat Bojangles. And what a feather in the cap of the Indiana Sire Stakes if this guy ends up getting the job done. So a lot of pressure on Odds on Mr. Mamba tonight.
Yeah, he'll be the poster boy for Indiana. Happens to work out. Sweet Lovin' Lou gets the services tonight of Scotty Ziron. Great to have the money man in town tonight. I'm sure his dad's going to be here to cheer him on too. This is a horse who comes in off of a pretty neat victory back last week. And in a snappy time, too, of 148-2.
It must have been absolutely torture for James to have to make that call, you know what I mean? Because you want to drive them all. But, unfortunately for them, they're not going to get James. But fortunately for them, they are going to get another guy that wears a lot of blue and white. And his name is Scotty the Money Man. And his name is the Money Man for a reason. This guy, when you put final and big numbers on the top of the page, the guy can smell it. He can smell it like a shark going across the ocean, smelling blood, He's just amazing driver. I don't know how he's going to actually end up doing this. I could honestly see him unleashing one of his Scotty Ziron pylon slides down near the end of it, Calvin Burrell all over again. I could see that with him because he has good luck doing that.
Yes.
And I could see this happening. I don't think anybody wants to get away too far back, but if he does, look for Scotty Ziron to be finding his way in the last quarter through the rest of them and flying on the end of it. This guy is amazing when it comes to driving for big money.
Well, and you might remember he won with It's My Show a couple of
Yes.
years ago
I think
as
that
well.
was our first NA
That's
Cup.
right, our first
Yeah.
one together. Aw, sentimental.
Aw.
All right, speaking of sentimental, we better flip over to the 5. Mr. Bo Jangles and Doc Moore. Bob McClure doing the driving here tonight for Graham Grace Stables, Kiwi Stables. This is Bolton Stables, I should mention them as well. MD Bolton Stables from down in Florida. I mean, I think a lot of people got turned on to him, obviously, last season, you know, as a 2-year-old. And these cattle washes, they're just, everybody wants to have a cattle wash in their barn. And then the wins just kept adding up. And then the fan base started growing and growing and growing. And then he comes back this season and he's winning again and again and again. And he was coming into last week's elimination undefeated, and there was a huge crowd here just to see him. The other thing that I just wanted to say too is I stepped out. I wanted to watch the race outside, and I stepped out into the paddock, and I have never seen a paddock like this before, where everybody just stood still and was watching the TV. Like,
You could hear a pin drop.
You could hear a pin drop. You're 100% right. So what do we do with Mr. Bo tonight?
Okay, here we go. So last week you and I walked over and seen him, and the horse looked amazing.
Yep.
He really did. Both of us agree the horse looked incredible, okay? So then we have this rainstorm, all right? And it's not an excuse. I'm just saying what happened. So then we have this rainstorm, and it was a nasty rainstorm, you know, and they all had to live through it. But for whatever reason, when I went back there afterwards, he wasn't the same horse. Like, he did not look the same. He didn't look fresh. He didn't look sharp. He didn't look like a horse that couldn't wait to get out onto the track. He just looked like a horse that was kind of going through the motions at that point. So now we go out into the race, and to me, there was nothing about the way that he raced last week that's been the same as what he's been racing, 15 times in a row. Anytime that I saw Bob try to put the horse in a hole, the horse didn't want to have anything to do with it. I'm not saying that he couldn't get him into the hole, but it never seemed like he was able to keep him in there very long. When the horse would start to puff up, his head would go up in the air, and he wanted back out of that hole. Last week, not only would he sit in the hole, but Bob's chasing him and gapped out and just didn't seem like he was the same horse. It's not an excuse. I have nothing but praise for anybody, any of these 10 horses that can make it this far. This is a really, really big feat to have a horse in this race. But in my opinion, I've watched him race every single start, and that wasn't the same race as what I've normally seen him race. So I think that there was a reason why he did what he did. I think that, I'm willing to put it behind him, and I'm just hoping that with a good post position and the monkey off your back, there's got to be some pressure comes off with that, with the fact that he's now been beaten.
Yeah.
So I think that this could be an interesting race. How Bob decides to do this, that is the real interesting point, because this is a horse that we know he doesn't necessarily have to be in front, but boy, oh boy, when he gets to the front, we're looking at another one of those none shall pass kind of a horse. You know what I mean? Now, like I said, last week he never got to the front. But again, to me, I don't think the horse that was able to hold him off last week in that third quarter rush should have been able to hold him off. He was 45-1, and we're talking the reigning horse of the year couldn't get by him. Why would that be? After gapping out, never doing anything the first half of the mile, I just don't see that Bojangles showed up. Now, what happens tonight, different story. I'm hoping, for Doc Moore that he's able to be here anyway, whether or not he gets to warm him up, that's all part of it as well. But I'm willing to take the Bojangles train a little bit further.
Yeah. I think it's an even better story
It's
tonight.
a way better story.
Because he got beat last week.
I think so too.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be a better race.
I do too.
Because now they know that he can get beat.
Yeah.
If he wins last week for fun, then what does the rest of these guys do, facing him the very next week, and he's still undefeated? Now he's beatable.
All right, let's move on to the 6 horse, because we have a bunch more we want to cover. This is Lindy Dragon Water, another Burke trainee. He was 5th. In behind Sweet Love and Lou in that elimination back last week. And, lovely horse. 5 wins from 10 starts as a 2-year-old, but shutout so far from 5 starts this year.
Yeah, it must have been quite a little 48 hours, I would say, for Jason Bartlett, because he's looking at where does James go. If James goes back to Sweet Lovin' Lou, that means that opens up probably Dexter or Brandon Boulevard for Jason Bartlett. So he's looking at, maybe a Brandon Boulevard, maybe a Sweet Lovin' Lou, one of those types. And he's got Lindy Dragonwater. Nothing against Lindy Dragonwater, but he just isn't what these ones are. I think he's more of a bit of an Ohio kind of a specialist myself. So I think that this might be a little bit too much of an ask right now for Lindy Dragonwater. But, hey, you got a good post to work with, and you got one of the best drivers in North America driving.
Well, Andrew McCarthy is the regular driver for Azrael Blue Chip, who is the 7-horse in tonight's race, a colt by Perfect Sting out of a Some Beach Somewhere mare, so that's fantastic. And not an expensive purchase down in Kentucky, around $30,000 they paid for this one as a youngster, and he's been able to make almost all and then some since.
I'll say, steel to aluminum all the way around for this horse. Besem Odza is going to be sending that change in. And just so that something, maybe you didn't realize or whatever, that first NA Cup that we worked together,
right.
It's My Show was a winner. Confederate was second. Well, guess who was the groom of Confederate? Besem Odza, now having his own barn, and here he is racing his own horse in the North American
Imagine
Cup.
that.
What a full circle for him. A few years ago, he's here looking after one of the favorites, and now he is back again with one of his own trainees in this race. Now, that's quite a little story.
Jeez, that's a short road, too. That's only a couple of years.
Only a few years.
To find a horse of this caliber.
Yeah.
Like, people wait their whole lifetime.
And like you said, too, not exactly a blue blood purchase at $27,000.
But they were able to get him there, and he's made $210,000 since. Al Papi is the 8. You get Yannick Gingras driving for Ron Burke. So again, Burke heavily represented here in this race with 3 starters. They will opt to put the blinkers on here tonight with this one. And you know what? I think I sent in picks, like a top pick and then a long shot. I sent Al Papi in as a long shot here in this spot because he could sneak into the mix.
I would say that you could easily throw him into the top 5 in this race, easily. I won't be using him in here. I only threw 4 picks in, but I could easily see anybody wanting to work him into a superfecta or anything else. Going to go to blinkers tonight on Al Papi and the ever dangerous combination of Yannick Gingras and Ronnie Burke. This is going to be Yannick's choice in this race.
Let's go to the 9 no wait list. Doug McNair, one of our regular pilots here at Womo, gets the drive tonight for Blake McIntosh, a regular trainer here on our circuit, and Tim Dickinson, who's been a big supporter of racing here in the province of Ontario. They have to be, over the moon with their opportunity tonight with this Sun Cattle Wash.
I would have to think, right? It's unfortunate that he draws the outside, but one thing I will say, if of all the horses that were in here, if there was one that was going to maybe be a fly in the ointment of how this race went down, I say it's this one. I say that Dougie, he loves to make things happen, and I say he's going to try to make something happen out of the 9 hole with no wait list. There's no use going to the back. You know what I mean? Because if you do, then that's basically where you're going to finish. McNair can get one off the wings here like crazy. I think that Dougie puts this guy into play. So I think that Blake McIntosh, Tim Dickinson could really be setting themselves up for a really big night. This is a nice horse.
And one more to take a look at, and he's a good one too. Just a tough draw tonight for Brandon Boulevard. Andrew Harris trains for Punisher 11 Stables. You like that name.
I love the name.
Dexter Dunn to do the driving tonight. I mean, one of the best drivers in the world for harness racing, and this one second, last start out behind odds on Mr. Mamba.
Yeah, the post positioning gods weren't exactly kind to the Punisher 11 stable tonight because Brandon Boulevard, unfortunately, somebody has to draw the 10 hole. He's got it, and their other horse, Captain Luke, ends up drawing the 10 hole in the Mohawk Gold Cup. So a couple of 10 holes for them to dance around tonight. I agree with Elisa. You do have the 10 hole, but arguably you got the best driver in the world sitting behind your horse. So I'm sure that Dexter's going to be able to fashion out some kind of a trip. The big thing is that 10 hole. You got 9 horses on the inside of you. A lot of them are going to be wanting to go to the same place that you are. You know, Dexter's going to have to earn his keep in this one.
Well, it's going to be a good one. You're in for a real treat tonight with this group that's been assembled for this year's Pepsi North America Cup. Want to bring John Rallis back into the mix as well. John, standing by outside. You know, it's funny. We've all gone the same direction, regardless of what we've discussed, and there have been discussions over the last week. And I mean, somebody on social media said, "Oh, there goes Womo again in the psychiatrist office talking about Bojangles." And I thought, yeah, because we're all trying to get into, you know, the head of the horse and, you know, what was going on there last week. John, you've used him up in the top spot, so you've got confidence that he can come back tonight with the rebound.
Yeah, and he draws a really, really good post. I mean, you kind of mentioned, and we saw that graphic, right? The most winningest post here in this race is post number 5, which he drew. Doc Moore also citing that 5 is his lucky number. So maybe, you know, everything is aligning for him to capture the North America Cup and aligning for Bob McClure to capture his first North America Cup. But he's not the only one looking to capture his first North America Cup. There's 4 other drivers in here. Half the field has won this race, while the other half hasn't. James McDonald and Bob McClure, a couple of drivers here locally who've yet to capture this race. And, you know, it was bad luck for James a year ago, right? He did sit behind the 9-5 favorite. I think he was favored over Blueprint by $140. And, of course, Bob McClure obviously finishing second to Tall Dark Stranger in 2020 when he sat aboard a Doc Moore trainee by the name of Tattoo Artist. So, look, he draws well. I don't know I can't remember the last time I've seen a horse try and win this race going start to finish. I would envision that Bob and Bojangles are going to be aggressively handled in this particular spot. But I tell you what, there's 9 other horses who merit a lot of respect. And the speed that we saw in those elimination efforts from some of these other colts, it's going to make for not only a great race, but everybody better be on their toes tonight.
You got that right, John. The other thing, too, is we have perfect weather for tonight's program. Like, this track is going to be, you thought it was fast last week? This track is going to be lightning fast this week.
Yeah, and just enough wind, you know what I mean, to keep the courses cool, keep the bugs
flies
away, you know what I mean, but not enough to really affect the racing. So, yeah, we're setting up for a big night.
It is great. Don't you love it when you have perfect weather on a perfect night of racing? Okay, let's get into some of our tickets for the night tonight. We'll start off first with your early pick 5. Now, we have a whole bunch of different wagers on tonight's program that John was talking about earlier on. This is the pick 5 that kicks off at the beginning of the night tonight in the first race. It offers a $100,000 guarantee.
Yeah, that's a new kind of a look there now. So my top pick is going to have the star beside it.
That's right.
Yeah, cool. I like that. Okay, so race number 1, I'm going to go Waffle, Blue Chip, and Crack Shot. Race 2, Caviar Crackers. Cold Creek Fuego is going to be my top pick. I thought that she was out of position in her last start. I can forgive that. I think she'll be better tonight. Magic Punk is going to be my top pick in the good times. Figment, going to go right to the outside. He's going to be my top pick. I thought he went into last week, you know, maybe with a little bit of a stale date. I think it cost him. Has the 10 hole. I think if anything, that should just inflate his price tonight. And race number 5, I'm going to stick with Logan Park. Our, O'Brien Award winning Logan Park is going to be my top pick.
He's one of my favorites. I'm really excited
yes.
to see him on the racetrack tonight as well. Okay, plays of the night are what we're going to pass along for you next. And Randy has put together a number of different tickets that we'll show you throughout the evening. But first, let's take a look at your top selections.
So he's going to start it off in race number 1, Elisa, and that's going to be Crack Shot. I'm going to put him down as my beat the favorite. I think Waffle, Blue Chip, or maybe Christopher Dance will end up being the favorite. I don't see it being Crack Shot, but I'm very interested to see how he races after that nifty qualifier that he just put up. The all-in's going to be Magic Punk. Absolutely loved him last week. Worth a look, Stormont, beautiful. She's not going to be the favorite in there, but I do think that she can get the job done. And Waples Watch going to have to stick around to the race number 12. That's going to be Winsun Gunner and Elisa, second start Lasix.
Ah, that's Randy's move. Well, he's got a couple of moves, but definitely second start Lasix is one of them. The other is when they empty out right before they go to
Love
the
that
start.
too.
That's his other big
Yes.
move. Plays of the night from our resident handicappers as well. Garnet Barnsdale is going to go with Sensationalized in race number 2 at 5-1. So he's giving you a horse at a bit of a price. So is Kevin Plaucha. He's got a 5-1 selection with Stormont Beautiful that goes in the 7th race. And Ghislaine Paquette, he has a 4-1 choice in race number 12 with Exactly Correct. So that is what we've got from our resident handicappers. And we'll remind you, if you want to join in and take a shot at your handicapping tonight, there is that contest that you can enter into, and it's got a whole bunch of prizes and money on the line as well.
500 for first place.
Sounds good to me.
I'd say.
Yeah,
Sure.
gonna be. I could take you to the keg afterwards.
Oh, you didn't put picks in tonight. You enter it for us.
Might as well. Alrighty, great night coming your way this evening. 13 races in store. Beautiful weather. Find yourself a great spot in the sunshine and enjoy.